good evening, people, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Pilot Review Show. I am Captain Blade, J52, and I am joined this week by some of my merry band of misfit cohorts. We have fresh off of a mobile emitter recharge, Artie.
Hey, Artie, welcome back.
And back from the disconnected land of Oz, after overcoming overwhelming odds with no internet, TeacherKirby.
I am happy to say that Sprint's network is back up and running in my area. They've been going through an upgrade. 8 days. I've been counting, yes.
She's able to pop in and maybe give us a sentence or two, and then right back out of here.
It just sounded robot to me.
It was, and I was only getting robot sounds back too. So it was like, and it was, it was bad, folks. I couldn't get in game. I couldn't read anything. I couldn't get on TeamSpeak. It was, but I am now sane again. I have internet again. It came back only a couple hours ago, so really cutting it close. Yes, I'm all caught up, I think.
Yep. And if not, we'll figure it out on the fly like we do with 99% of the stuff here on the show. But anyways, folks, we do have some stuff to get through for this week for you guys, whatnot, but including some of our cast reveals. Don't we have that in one or two of the blogs?
I believe we have.
Well, if not, well, in one of them anyway. But anyways, getting into our first blog, celebrating the first contact day. And April the 5th was the actual anniversary, if you remember from our Star Trek canon, where the Vulcans and humans made first contact and they met Zephram Cochrane. It says, to celebrate the anniversary of First Contact Day, the Zephram Cochrane Memorial and Historical Museum is holding a special reenactment event from April the 5th to April the 12th on all 3 platforms. Participants are invited to visit Bozeman, Montana, the site of Cochrane's launch of the first human warp-capable ship, the Phoenix, and engage in the construction of their own replica Phoenix. So, basically run around, collect parts, and try to build a ship. And whenever you do, you have to be, of course, level 10 and above. Romulans will have to have chosen their faction, of course. And you will get 1 Zephram Cochrane Memorial Hologram Voucher. Try saying that 10 times fast. Limit of once per day per character, and it takes a minimum of 4 holograms in order to receive the special event box. And you can kind of see the Bozeman Hyper Impulse engines there, some of the visuals that it gives, and everything. I don't actually have mine yet, so I can't really give you guys the stats like I wanted to, but, yeah. So, for these particular engines, it says, the Bozeman Hyper Impulse engines are specifically designed for enhanced flight speed, feature a modified fuel injector that increases speed when at full throttle, but it comes at the cost of some maneuverability. The Bozeman Hyper Impulse engines will be unlocked for your entire account once the task is completed on a single character and will be available to reclaim through the Dilithium Reclaim store. So, yeah, that's
just enough time
some of the stuff you get, and a Phoenix Hollow emitter. And I still can't words. I blame
from how
Kirby.
it sounds, with how it sounds, the engines may just have a bunch of full modifiers instead of anything else.
I don't know, man.
A lot of full throttle, so.
Yeah.
There was somebody about a day, I think like a day ago, that actually got his. I think he still had some left over from last time, and I guess that's how he got them. But yeah. So, thoughts, guys?
Let's join the server.
The little reenactment thing.
Oops, disconnected from the server.
The reenactment
Somebody
is
forgot to turn off his phonetics.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Thankfully, that was a rather
But yeah,
benign one.
the reenactment seems like a very fun event. I thoroughly enjoy it because I just run around, get to run around this very unique map, and just the launching of the little model rockets is just great. It brightens my day, kind of, when I just see them lift up and some of them explode barely off the pad, and you're just like, oh, that one was mine.
Yeah.
Though, I do have to say that music that plays whenever they first launch.
Oh, it's so great.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's one of those little things that, you know, fans of the movies and the series will get, because, you know, he's playing that when he does the flight. You know, when he actually does the first warp flight, it's playing in the module. So it's one of those cool things. It's just that little detail that puts it over the top for me with these guys. But I'm just happy that, you know, I am going to have enough time to actually complete the project and get it. Yay. Barely. Barely. Shut up.
No, no,
Watch your internet crap out
jinx.
tomorrow now that she said
Don't
that.
jinx me. No.
Yes.
Would I do that to
Yes,
you?
would.
Yes, I totally
Yes,
would.
you would.
But, anyways, definitely check out those engines, folks, and if nothing else, it's a free set of engines. Maybe you can use them for a tune while you're leveling up or something. But, anyways, moving along, we have one of our sets of patch notes for
April
the
3rd,
3rd.
which is the one where we got our new featured episode. So it tells us that was added to the list. And you can travel to Deep Space Nine and speak to Nethpar. Find out why she betrayed her people to help save Bajor. Episode is available for captains level 10 and above. And you can see the blog for further information. We also got the Constable Secondary Specialization. So, this specialization is unique in that it benefits the player in both space and ground. And of course there's a blog for more details there as well. For our general, they finally changed the location of Beyond the Nexus, so it no longer follows Temporal Ambassador. And let's see, they resolved an issue causing various services on ship interiors like duty officer management, banking, etc. to be only usable by one person at a time. So that means if you invite people to your ship, they can all use the bank! Okay. At the same time.
Yay!
Auto fire is now turned on as a default for ship combat. Yay! Yes,
Thank
it
God.
has.
That's been
It
needed
has.
for years. It really
Made
has.
improvements to the Discovery Spore Drive FX. Resolved an issue which was causing the explosion of the sarcophagus to look incorrect. Here's a big one. They moved the NPCs in the Kronos shipyard to make them easier to interact with. So you'll need to look around to find your NPCs if you're going to the Kronos shipyard. Resolved an issue which was causing idle animation of the feet not to animate as intended. Resolved an issue where flying backwards could sometimes make weapons fire from the wrong point on a ship for all you RPers out there. Players can now equip items from the active starship to shuttle or from the active shuttle to the starship. And for our systems, there's quite a few things. Resolved an issue that caused some powers to not properly scale off of or consume entropy. Resolved an issue that caused the elite Kelvin Timeline Scorpion fighters to display as advanced in some places. Also resolved an issue that presented the reverberation starship trait from working correctly with destructible torpedoes or mines. Updated the Jupiter trait to be actually locked out when on lockout. Updated the Walker console to force the player to stay in combat. updated most tooltips referencing warp speed to update to the accurate warp speed. This is a tooltip change only. Resolved an issue that caused the lead foot trait to grant an excessive turn rate boost while in slipstream. And quantum singularity manipulation can once again be activated while the player is cloaked or cloak is disabled. And it's good that they've got that fixed. Now we just gotta wait for them to fix the thing about when sensor analysis is applied and not activating. Yeah.
Pretty sure some of that stuff was
Resolved an issue
intentional.
that caused the protonic Polaron turrets to fire Scatter Volley 2 when they should be firing Scatter Volley 3. And fleet provisions no longer have an energy credit value. Can't get rich off of selling fleet provisions anymore.
Aw. Yeah.
Well, that's not the only reason.
I'm sure
but
there
one of them.
was more to it, but yeah.
Well, I can tell you, lead foot with slipstream was fun while it lasted. Doing donuts in sector space while it transport or slip space.
See what I missed
hilarious.
in the week while I'm gone? Jeez.
Why do I get the feeling he's
Around
one of the ones that was
DS9, I
doing
just decided
donuts
to go
around DS9?
make a trip of it. I was like going to a corner, do a sharp turn right before I get to the corner of the map, and then be able to get away. It was great.
He was totally that
Yep,
guy.
he was one of the guys. But yeah, definitely check out everything here, folks.
it
It's a pretty decent-sized list of stuff. Not too terribly big, but definitely something you're going to want to check out. Especially some info on the constable specialization and whatnot, but and also our new featured episode. Not going to give spoilers away or anything,
Please
but it's
don't, 'cause I
actually a
haven't
pretty
played
decent
that.
episode, I think.
And no spoilers. Don't give spoilers to people.
Well, you see, you talk to this person, and then you do a thing, and then things happen, and then things blow up,
Oh no.
and things with
No,
the
we never do
name, and then
diplomacy anymore.
weapons, and then
We
bad
always
guy.
shoot things.
Totally He totally ruined it for me, folks.
hmm
Anyway,
But anyways, moving along, we have our 15% key sale
You get
and
15%
keyring
key sale and
bundle.
keyring bundle. That's more or less self-explanatory there. For April 3rd all the way up to April 10th, captains may be able to load up the keys as much as they've been wanting, and get that. I lost words for a second there. Get the all those keys they've been wanting.
don't scare me like that, man. I thought my internet was gonna crap out again.
Just stop in mid-sent.
I don't know what you mean.
But no, along with that, you get the standard, for the keyring bundle, you get the 20 key plus the, what do they call it? The ultimate tech upgrade, which takes any one item straight to Mark 14 Epic. So that works. The price for that 20 box is 2,250. So that's always a good price for what you're getting there. And I do recommend if you are getting a lot of keys, just go ahead and get the keyring bundle, because ultimate tech upgrade, come on. You got to stockpile those things when you want, in case for a budget build or something, right?
Well, it wouldn't exactly be a budget build if you're spending money to get the keys.
Semantics.
Semantics. Yeah. Okay. But it's important to note the 2,250 Zen price is prior to the discount.
Ah, right.
So-
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yep, it's definitely a good thing to be sure to check out. If you're already planning on buying at least 20 keys anyway, you might as well spring for a
Yeah.
keyring bundle and get yourself that tech upgrade to boot.
I just pulled up the actual
Yep.
prices with the 15% off, just so people don't have to freak out and look for them themselves. 10-pack is 956, and then the 20-pack is 1,912. So that's a really good budget right there. You just spend $20.
Yeah.
Eats for itself. Yeah.
No, show that off for people there. Now the good thing about the Ultimate Tech Upgrade, I know we touch base on this usually every time this comes around, but there's a very good reason for it. The Ultimate Tech Upgrade, as it actually mentions in the blog itself, will take any one single item, even a Mark 1 White, if it can upgrade, all the way to a Mark 14 Epic for no dilithium cost. Now, we usually recommend saving these things for something that you know for sure you're going to keep, and something that you're probably going to use for a while, such as maybe a warp core or a shield or that one specific weapon that you've been after for a while. And we usually recommend that you use them on something you know what you're going to get. That way there's not any bit of randomness to it. Well, that's not as prevalent since re-engineering has been introduced, but still something that we would recommend to keep in the back of your mind. But yeah, definitely get out there, get those keys, and maybe you'll drop a ship or something. But, moving along, we have our welcome to Season 14.5. It says, in the fall of last year, we saw the plans for the Zinkethi laid bare, and in winter of this year, we saw the amazing scope and magnitude of the Hur'q threat their crusade attempted to curtail. At the center of both encounters was a Zinkethi named Nethpar, who defected against the Zinkethi and helped assure an allied victory, for now. In one of the most unique episodes in the history of Star Trek Online, the Renegades regret you'll be put in the shoes of Nethpar as she describes the history of the Zinkethi crusade from her perspective and what eventually led her to betray her own people. It says captains will be revisiting worlds they saw in earlier episodes, but from a point of view and witnessing the Zinkethi genocide firsthand. Says, in addition to this fantastic episode, we have a great collection of features for all of our captains to enjoy. Says, first we'll be adding the Constable's secondary specialization, which was inspired by everyone's favorite peacekeeper, Odo the Constable. It says, Odo... Yeah, words. Okay. So, yeah, apparently we all suck at words this evening. Says, the Constable specialization allows you to pick your antagonist and use your skills to bring your target to justice. And we're completely updating the new how the Infinity Lockbox works, while giving you access to T6 versions of some of the most popular ships, the Temporal Science and Temporal Destroyer vessels. So the T6 Wells is finally here, folks. Says, these updates and episode combine to form an amazing package to get everyone ready to warp into the expansion this summer. Says, we're incredibly excited for everyone to discover the origin behind the reveals in our anniversary episode Scylla and Charybdis, and prepare for the incredible story we have planned for Victoria's life this summer. This is a truly unique experience for Star Trek Online, and I can't wait to see everyone in game. And that is a butchered statement from Stephen Rakosa, the executive producer, one that I horribly butchered.
It happened.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
that was
any comments,
Good.
quick thoughts,
it
anybody?
was a very short bullet point of everything that we're basically going to cover.
I can't wait to go play the episode.
Great episode. You will really like it. I recommend it. There are plenty of jokes in there that people may laugh about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that means I gotta go and do a walkthrough of it, you know, with my first playthrough, so there you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah!
Yep. But anyway, moving along, and speaking of our
Yes,
episode,
so
we
the
have our Week 1 rewards.
The Renegades Regret Week 1 rewards. So each week, while it is a featured episode, you get the weekly Enhanced Universal Tech Upgrade or a Captain Specialization point box. Your choice. I always get the spec point. And The first week's reward for the gear is the Console Science Emitter Refocuser. And the Emitter Refocuser is inspired by Zenkethi designs and technology. It passively boosts your Tetrion damage, shield restoration, and drain expertise. So it's a 3-in-1. So.
And in case anybody is curious, I do actually have this console,
course.
and I have
the
Epic
standard
out.
if you want a side-by-side view.
See, did I throw that? Okay, no, there it is.
There's the standard.
Alright, so go ahead and link yours, Artie. Alright, so the standard one, it starts out at 15% Tetrion damage, 30 shield restoration, 15 drain expertise. So it's not a bad little console and everything, especially at the budget end, whatnot. Then at Epic, it gets a fairly decent boost. Not too terribly huge, but still very nice. It goes to 18.8% Tetrion damage, 37.5 shield restoration, and 18.8 drain expertise. So, if you want a little bit of extra kick to your Tetrions, this is a console you're going to want to pick up. And on my main tank, I'm actually trying to figure out how I'm going to incorporate this. But if you're looking for a straight Tetrion boost, this is yet another console you could pair with something like the Sticky Web or the bias configuration modulator from the Low-Buy store, if you've got access to that stuff. And then any of the other stuff that you may have, such as, say, from the Raikkonen, or even any of the, what you call them, brain fart, what's the guys with, what are they called? The Vorgons. There we go. Could not think of their names. Could not think of their names.
I think you are experiencing the side effects from my meds that I'm no longer taking. That I've cut down to where I'm not really experiencing many side effects anymore. I think they've all been, like, passed to you.
I'm gonna go with... You see, I'm gonna go with the fact that maybe she's figured out some way to digitize it and just, like, type it through the
That's
internet,
insane.
so I'll get a contact high off of it or
Down
something.
the meds in favor of I
But
now
yeah.
get injections in my forehead. I'm told that when I go to Vegas, I'll be able to put my head back, fill my mouth with water, and poke my cheeks and imitate the Bellagio fountain. From all the holes in my forehead. Yeah. Anyway.
Yep. But, anyways, definitely check this out. It's a fairly good little console, fairly good little mission. I think people will enjoy it. Moving along, we have our Priority 1 interview with
Yes,
lead designer
one of the
Al
other
Rivera.
podcast groups out there, Priority 1, a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast, welcomes STO's lead designer, Al Rivera. They talk about the upcoming expansion, Victory is Life, and answer a lot of the viewers' questions. They have the link right in the link to the interview. Sorry, lost words again. In the article itself, and it's really nice, simple conversation. It answers so many different questions. I feel like it gives us a good, deeper review of what we're going to be expecting when Victory is Life comes about. So, yeah.
But, yeah, definitely check that out and everything. I've not really had a chance to go through it yet and everything, but I know there is some good information in there for everybody. But we'll have a link in the description and everything for you guys once the local version of this goes up and all that jazz. But, anyways, moving along, we have our second set of patch notes, well, our 2 patch notes from the 4th.
I do believe this is you.
There's only 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
Is this mine? Well, anyway, we've says they've resolved a graphics-related crash which could occasionally happen when shadows were being drawn. It also resolved an issue which caused items in the player's power tray to shift around after playing as Neth Par in the
Basically, every
Renegade's
time
Regret.
you finish the mission, you got skill salad. Yay!
Yay, skill salad. Oh, wait.
Well, in my case, it didn't actually give me full-blown skill salad as much as it just removed certain powers from the bar.
I'd rather have skill salad than that.
No, the second time I played through, I saw what everyone was talking about. Because the first time I went through, like, I was missing powers, but the second time I ran through, I came back and you know how you're supposed to have like your weapon, your primary fire, secondary fire, and melee for your weapon. Those 3 buttons were missing. Everything else was fine. So I don't know what happened. I'm just glad it's fixed.
You and me both. Yeah, like I say, that's our 2 patch notes on the 4th, and then we had one more bit of patch notes and everything, including a known issue that I want to touch base on in the bugs corner. But, anyways.
Yes, so our patch notes for the 5th, our final set of PC patch notes, for the Renegade's Regret, rewards for week 2 and 3 have been updated, so week 2 will now reward the trait unlocks previously listed as the week 3 reward. Week 3 will now reward a new ceremonial pole arm, and the draconian sword is no longer a reward option. Players can no longer sit in the chair which the DS9 security officer is sitting in. No more sitting on his lap playing Santa Claus. Neth Par's mouth now moves when speaking, and removed the random food players would receive when playing the episode. Aw, you mean they don't feed us anymore?
I don't know. It was pretty funny. I finished the mission. I got a bunch of different wines, and I think I got a croissant. I think is what I got for completing the mission. It was funny. I was like, oh, the Admiral's very kind in giving me breakfast.
Hey.
Oh,
there you go. It just gave me a random root beer.
And resolved an issue where changing auto attack settings would reset upon moving to another map. Ooh, that's not good. Tier 5 temporal ships will no longer have access to the Tier 6 hulls if the player owns another T5 temporal ship or shuttle. And for our known issues, and this is a biggie, the mission, The New Link, is currently cannot be completed. It is recommended that players skip it for the time being.
I do have a complaint. Yeah. I was really excited to get the draconian sword because when I was playing the mission, I was like, oh, those look really cool. I want to get one of those because they looked like a simple, not like energy sword or anything like that. It looked like an actual just normal sword. It looked great, and now we're getting a pole arm. I'm like, that's also cool, I guess. Don't know what it looks like.
Guess.
Sword looks great in combat when it was going for my head, but yeah, I guess I'll go for a pole arm now. Can I still get the sword?
Ceremonial pole arm, not even in battle.
I mean, not gonna lie, I would have rather had both, to be honest with you. Or just let us pick, but, I mean, to each their own here, which, I suppose at the same time, that opens up the opportunity for them to add the sword, maybe to the low-buy store down the road, or to a reputation or something, I guess.
Yes.
Possibly. I have no idea, but I do hope they do, like you, I do hope they do something with that sword. Because that looks
like super detailed and everything. I'm just like, that's really nice, like a look for just an NPC to try to stab me with it. This is oddly specific.
Yep. Yeah, like I say, that sword was definitely way too good for them to not utilize it for something, and I honestly hope that they do.
Before we move on, there was something, I don't know why it didn't make it into our notes, but they did announce another cast member. Maybe Artie would like to read it.
Have that note? I didn't.
Do you have that? Give me a second.
No, I do not.
Because I have
Did
the.
we not have
I
that?
pulled it
Oh,
up.
I found it.
Okay.
I just pull up real quick.
I don't know why it didn't make it into the notes, but you know.
All right. Got it?
One moment.
Nope.
I don't think
Okay.
the
Link?
blog was up at the time.
A little on the right
You got
there.
the link?
I got
The new cast
Which one
member
we're talking about?
that was announced on Wednesday.
that. Well,
It's
the
actually
one that had an
two, I
interview.
believe. This is the
Yes.
same
There you go.
blog.
So we're gonna
Okay.
actually let him know who it is.
Yep. Same blog.
Aaron Eisenberg has joined the cast for Victor's Life. Yeah. So we're going to get Captain Nog going to hang out with us during our new missions and whatnot when Victor's Life comes out. He's going to be the captain of the Chimera, which we met when he was, looking for the Crenum during the Iconian War, and it gives a little bit of a backstory at the very top. Nog was a former chief engineer on the Enterprise and was a veteran of the Dominion and Iconian Wars. So, with the returning of the Hur'q, he's been called into action and will once again be interacting with your captain in a race to save the galaxy. So,
Yes. Well,
there you go.
I, for one, am glad for this announcement because now I can talk about it. I knew he was coming back since last August. I just didn't know exactly when. No, because at the convention last year, somebody let it slip in a conversation that he was coming back, and I'm like, ugh! And then I couldn't tell anybody.
I had my suspicions for a
Yeah.
while since he had his 2 voice roles in 2 different missions, and that was it.
Uh-huh.
He was bound to come back.
Yeah. Well, he
But-
does. Yeah. By all reports, he does
I
like
kind of
working with
figured.
them. So, he likes the guys at Cryptic. He likes working with the guys at Cryptic and whatnot. So.
But
Yeah.
in the I also like that in the little article here at the bottom, it shows you the 10 Forward Weekly interview between Ambassador Kale and Aaron Eisenberg.
And Aaron Eisenberg. Yes,
Yeah.
which I have not watched yet. I can't wait to go and actually watch that because,
It is
like I said,
they-
I've been off for a week. I have not had any connectivity for more than like 10 seconds for a week. So,
I will say it's a very nice interview. They go over quite a few different things, and even let chat ask a few questions. A good friend of mine even got asked the question, what was it? What would Nog do for Klondike Bar? And I won't spoil it, so you guys have to watch it yourself. So it's
Wow.
great. It's very nice.
But I kind of figured he would be coming
Yeah.
back since he was on DS9
yeah.
whatnot. It would have been. It would have been a shame in my book if he didn't have a chance to come back and whatnot, especially because
So see, then this
I actually
brings up
rather
the
enjoyed his
question,
character on the show.
What about Chase Masterson?
I think that's a possibility.
Because she's been in as well, and she was in Deep Space Nine. And also, what about Rom, Max Grodenchik? Could he be coming in as well?
That's
You
it's
know.
also 2 very good possibilities.
We know Quark is coming back, so why not get the other Ferengi too?
Yeah.
Get all 3 of them.
My big thing is everyone's like, oh, we're going to get all sorts of people back. You're going to get Ezri. You're going to probably get Bashir. You're going to get all sorts
Well, we're
of these
getting
main
Bashir,
characters.
we know that.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like I'm just like I for some reason I have the sinking suspicion they're going to bring in like Molly. You guys remember Molly O'Brien? Little kid. She's probably going to come in and be something big all of a sudden. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't see that, but that's a whole
it's-
other discussion.
yeah.
But
Not gonna lie, I am kind of hoping for at least one episode in this expansion where they get all of the Ferengi together, and it's just like that really crazy episode where they tried to trade that Vort off.
Yeah, they
Get
got back
the Negus. Or no, get back.
No, that
Negus.
was from the
Miriam.
Miriam.
The Negus they had to get back too. But
We're getting
Oh,
9, right?
I think so.
9 characters, yeah. So we have 2
Starting
more
out, yeah.
that they have yet to release. So,
yeah, like I say, just please, for the love of God, make my day. Give us an all Ferengi episode.
Give us a reason to go to a
And
Ferengi
then-
arc.
Oh my
Yep.
God, I just seriously hope it happens.
well, then there's
Yeah,
the
yeah, it
obvious
would.
question: what about Worf? You know,
But-
Michael Dorn, would he be making another appearance, or There's a lot of possibilities, and I know a lot of people are discussing it. So,
Mhm.
but yes.
And keep in mind as well, folks, this is just... These episodes are what we know of that's coming to start with. As we get closer and closer to the expansion, and as the expansion itself eventually, goes on, I'm sure we'll get more and more stuff. But, anyways, that's what we have as far as our articles for this evening. I'll have to update and include this one in the notes and whatnot. But, moving along to our budget build this evening. We have our Jem'Hadar series bare bones tier 6 dreadnought tank. Now, this is something I'd actually talked with Neela and everything beforehand. Since we're coming into a Victory is Life Jem'Hadar themed expansion, we're going to be picking up and doing some of the Jem'Hadar ships all along, whatnot. Some of them will be tanks, some of them will be more DPS focused and whatnot, and if possible, we might be able to squeak out a Space Wizard build in there somewhere. But kind of keep with the theme of everything, more Dominion-themed ships, and maybe a Breen ship or two here or there. Just kind of depends, really. But for this particular ship, this is the Tier 6 version of the Jem'Hadar Dreadnought. This is the one that you get from the Infinity Box and everything. That's kind of confusing as to why they swapped those two out and everything, because at Tier 5 it was the Dreadnought that was in the low buy store, and then the Heavy Escort that was in the box. And they reversed those two, but anyways, keeping in the theme of a Jem'Hadar ship, we decided to load this one down with Polaron weaponry. For this particular ship, you have a 4-3 layout in terms of weapons. For our forward weapons, we have the chronometric Polaron beam array. We also have 2 of the Dominion Polaron beams from the Boldly They Rode mission. Then we also have our Piezo Polaron beam array. Then in the back, we have our... Actually, I have 2 Omni beams. We have our chronometric Polaron Omni, a standard crafted Polaron Omni, and also a Dominion Polaron beam. Now, what makes some of these particular beams so special? In the case of the chronometric beams, go ahead and actually pull this up so we can show one of them off in... Do I not have it? On the ship. Now I remember what it is. But the big thing about the chronometric Omni and the beam array is instead of the standard Polaron proc, they have a chance, a 15% chance to get 15% chance. Words
Again.
Words fail. Words fail. So yeah, I think we've got our episode title. Somebody reset the cast. But it is a 2.5% chance to get 15% shield pin for the standard proc rate. Does it actually say how long the proc lasts on this? No, it does not. Let's go into... I thought it would say. But, anyways, that's one of the reasons why we're going with the chronometric Polaron set. When we look at the consoles and everything, I'll explain the set bonuses and everything. Now for the piezoelectric beam, the real strength to this is the protomatter regenerative influx that it gives. Let me X that out so I'm not confusing everybody with tooltips. Now, this is from the Lucari reputation and everything, and the strength to this beam is it basically functions as a sort of healing weapon. It gives you some survivability. It's a 5% chance to apply the protomatter regenerative influx to self and nearby allies. It is plus 200 shield regen for 10 seconds, and regenerates 150% of max hull per minute for 10 seconds. And you're seeing it actually as a ultra rare because I have the Temporal Agent on lock, but it starts out as a crit D times 3. So, very potent weapon and everything, and that's what we have for our weapons on the ship. Then, for our shields, our engines, and our deflector, keeping with the theme of this being a Jem'Hadar ship, what better set to go with than the Jem'Hadar? So for the shields, the engines, and the deflector, we went with the Jem'Hadar set. This gives some nice buffs to Polaron and everything, as well as a anti-proton sweep. And we'll take a look at the set bonuses and stuff in just a minute. But as far as this particular set goes, this is actually still, even by today's standards, a fairly decent tanking set and whatnot. It's more focused on upfront damage negation than some of the other sets, which will give you damage recovery, allowing you to recover from a hit and everything. So it's got good upfront damage negation, a fair bit of damage or a threat generation. So it touches two of our tanking categories pretty well. Then for our warp core, since the Jem'Hadar set does not come with one, we have to source that out. And the warp core we went with here is the Temporal Phase Overcharged core. Now, this is one that we feature quite heavily here on the show, and reason being is because of how potent this warp core actually is. The real strengths to this warp core is the fact of its capacitor. Now, if you're a veteran player and whatnot, you've been around for a while, you're probably familiar with a little device known as the Temporal Negotiator. And the Temporal Negotiator was a device that whenever you used it, it would cut your bridge officer cooldowns in half for the duration. This gives you the same type of effect in the form of this warp core capacitor. And for a free warp core, it's very hard to beat on the budget end. But anyways, that's what we have for our shields, our engines, weapons, and whatnot. You also have 3 device slots on this particular ship. We usually like to think of devices as personal preference. That's why we don't typically include them and whatnot in some of our cost calculations and whatnot, because we don't like to assume what people are going to use for that. For devices, though, there is one that you will probably pick up during the story, or that you will have the chance to pick up during the story, that we do like to recommend to people, and that is the Subspace Field Modulator. Now, this is a device that you get from the Skirmish mission, and this particular device gives you the free equivalent of a neutronium armor while it is active. So a fair chunk of damage negation. Now, one very big downside to the device is it also debuffs you for a minus 400 protonic damage resist rating. Now, there's not really a lot of enemies in the game that utilize protonic damage, but it is something to be aware of for the ones that do. Then, for our consoles, we have a 5 Engineering, 2 Science, 4 Tactical layout. For our engineering consoles, we have the Trillium deplating. Now, this comes from the Ragnarok mission, and basically, it's a neutronium armor and a field generator that boosts your shield capacity slammed into one thing, so it gives a fair chunk of damage negation in terms of resistances, and it gives a fair chunk of shield capacity, allowing your shields to take more, bigger, and better hits. Then we have our Enhanced Dominion Interface. This is the console that actually comes with the ship, and whenever you use the console, it analyzes the enemy ship and whenever they pass a certain damage threshold, it throws a debuff on the enemy, and it's a pretty sizable debuff at that. And this version also gives some passives to the console, which is a little bit of turn rate, and I want to think this one gave just a touch of flight speed. I'm not 100% sure on that without looking. But, see, I don't have this console on me in front of me, so I can't really say. But, then for our next console, we actually have the assimilated module from the Omega reputation. This gives us a bit of crit chance and a bit of severity, which is very nice to have as our main bonuses that we're going for this console for. Then we have our piezoelectric focuser. This comes from the Lucari reputation, and there's actually some pretty good benefits here that I do want to show for you guys. Now this is, of course, at the epic level. It gives a fair chunk to Polaron damage. It gives some flight turn rate, which is going to be very good, especially in a big ship like this. And it also gives a fair chunk to maximum shield capacity, which is very great to have.
I'm going to interrupt for a
Our
second.
next console we had... Oh, go ahead.
Enhanced Dominion Command Interface. It does give a turn rate bonus, plus 15 turn rate, plus 10 accuracy, and yeah. And it has the minus 20 damage resistance rating for 15 seconds, 16.7% defense for 15 seconds. And if the target suffers 15,000 damage while affected, their vulnerable subsystem will be knocked offline for 4 seconds. And that's for the clickable Analyze weakness. You're welcome.
And thanks, Kirby, for that information. I'm very glad you were able to pull that up. Yes, yes it is. Yeah, so definitely a very potent console that is nothing to sneeze at on the budget end, that they just hand you for having the ship. But anyways, for our last engineering console, and I actually slotted that, well, it's not going to hurt to slot that one at 14 on the builder. I actually meant to slot that one at the budget level, but I accidentally put 14 in out of force of habit.
My internet was not even back yet when you did this, so don't even.
I still blame you. I still blame you. It was the heralding that your internet was going to come back as I started making these little silly goofs.
Okay, sure.
But anyways, for our final engineering console, we have the House Martok defensive configuration. And on a ship like this is going to pair very nicely with some of the other consoles we have. This particular console is basically an RCS console and a field generator type thing slammed into one. It gives you a fair chunk of maximum HP, a little bit of shield and engine power, some maximum shield capacity. So you get a boost to your hit points and your shield capacity, which is nice, and it gives a fair chunk of flight turn rate. So pretty fair and decent boosts in that department. Then for our science consoles, we have two of them. We went with the Temporal Disentanglement Suite. Now what is so good about this one is it gives a bit of shield capacity yet again. It gives a bit of damage resistance to your shields. And it also, on top of that, depending on how much aux power you have, between, I think it is 3% up to 10%, somewhere along in that range, you will get a fair chunk boost to your critical chance and to your critical severity and everything. It does slightly vary between the stats. So, very nice to have. Then, for our second science console, we have a restorative particle focuser and everything, so we can get a little bit of boost to our exotic damage and whatnot, which will play nice off of a couple of powers that we have. And we also give it the Drain X ×2 to boost the Polaron Drain a little bit, because why the heck not? And everything. Then for our tactical consoles, we have 4 of them. 3 of them are the directed energy distribution manifolds. And we use these particular ones because there is not a source of budget Polaron consoles in the game currently. There's not a mission we can just repeat for them to get energy type specific. These come from the Boldly They Wrote, or not Boldly They Wrote, I'm thinking the Dominion weapons.
It is.
These come from the, see, it's a contact buzz, I'm telling you people. But, anyways, for those particular consoles, everything, they come from the Terminal Expanse mission in the Yesterday's War story arc. In order to see the Terminal Expanse mission in your journals, you will have to have completed all of the previous episodes before it will actually show up. Then for our final console, we have the Chronometric Capacitor, which is going to round out our 3-piece set. We'll take a look at the set bonuses in just a second and whatnot, but for our hangar bays and everything here, I left them blank because I don't like assuming what people are going to want to use and what they have and everything. This one actually does come with the little Jem'Hadar fighters and everything. It actually comes with 2 hangar bays full of them, which are actually not that bad. And if you manage to get a hold of a bug ship, be it a Tier 6 or a Tier 5U version, then you will actually be able to use the Jem'Hadar bug ships, since this is a Dreadnought in this case. But taking a quick look at some of our set bonuses, we'll explain why we have some of the items that we do. And looking at our chronometric, we'll pull that up and look at our 3-piece and 2-piece for it first. Now for our chronometric and everything, the 2-piece is 3.6 aux power and 3.8 aux power setting. The bonus increases at lower power. Then for our 3-piece bonus, it's a 2-minute recharge, 8.5% exotic damage for 15 seconds, and 7.5% energy weapon damage for 15 seconds. So, a fairly potent little ability there for the 3-piece, and when we pair that with everything, that's a fair boost. Whatnot. In this particular console for folks, it actually gives a fair boost to Polaron damage, some weapon power, some EPG, and even torpedo weapon damage for people that enjoy torps. Now, since we're using 2 pieces of the piezoelectric items, in terms of the console and the weapon, we'll go ahead and look at the 2-piece bonus that we're going to get, which is actually 15% Polaron damage and plus 15% photon projectile damage and a little bit of drain expertise. So, pretty decent bonuses there. We're going to pick up some more Polaron damage in that aspect. And then, finally, we're going to look at our bonuses for our Jem'Hadar set. Now, for our Jem'Hadar set on the 2-piece, we get more Polaron damage and more drain expertise. Then, for the 3-piece, we get the anti-proton sweep and another little bonus that's going to come into play here that we'll look at in just a moment. But for this particular 3 set, it's a 6 kilometer range and a 90-degree targeting cone. It takes about a half second to activate. It's a 1.5 minute recharge, and it removes up to, and this is number's actually going to change a little bit depending on drain expertise you have, so if your number's a little bit different from what I'm about to read, think nothing of it. It removes 1682.1 shields on up to 5 targets that are within range of the ability. It's a minus 2.5% shield resistance for 7 seconds, disables cloaking for 12 seconds. So a nifty little ability that also gets boosted with Drain X. And the final bonus that is actually going to come into play here. It is a very low chance, but it is something worth mentioning. And it is the Victory is Life ability. Now, it's a 1% chance to strip 1 buff while using Polaron weaponry. So in addition to everything else we have read off that's going to buff our Polarons, this will also come into play as an additional potential proc. It says it only works on Jem'Hadar vessels and the Cardassian Galore. Now, although it says it only works on the Galore, I can in fact confirm it does work on the Keldon as well. Or at least it's supposed to. But, anyways, that's what we have for our set bonuses and everything. Hope you guys can kind of see what we're going for as far as equipment and everything. But let's go to our skills. Now, since this is a carrier, we changed up our normal skill set to accommodate this a little bit. And we have 2 points into our improved hull and shield capacity each, 1 point into shield and hull restoration. Then we have 3 points into our energy weapon training for free energy weapon damage. We have 2 points into improved EPS flow, and 1 point in impulse expertise. 2 points into improved control and terrain expertise each, and this is where we make some of the changes versus standard. We have 2 points into improved targeting expertise versus the usual 3. This is going to offset some of the damage penalty or accuracy penalty to things like thaw and other similar firing cycles. Then we also have 2 points into our improved defensive maneuvering. It's going to make the ship a little bit harder to hit. Then on the next tier we have all 3 points into our hull plating. This is free damage negation just by having those. We have 2 points into the improved shield hardness, which is going to reduce damage to the shields. We have 3 points into our advanced energy weapon specialization and amplification, that is free crit chance and severity just by slotting those. Then we have a point into offensive and defensive subsystem tuning each, that is free power to each of the subsystems. And if one needed to, you could further specialize into the individual subsystems to pick up a little bit extra. We have 2 points into improved EPG, then also 3 points into our advanced long-range target sensors. This reduces the weapon drop-off penalty the farther we are from the target. Then we also have 3 points into our hull penetration in this particular instance. Now for this particular case, you can have either hull penetration or shield penetration, either one. There is no right or wrong answer here and whatnot. Arguments can actually be made for both. In this particular case, we went with the hull pen. If you wanted to further take advantage of the chronometric beams, you could actually even pick up the shield pen here. That's just one possible example. Then for our final points, we actually have 1 point in our warp core potential. This is going to be free power to all of our subsystems, and this is where our changes actually came in. Since this is actually a carrier and everything, we wanted to be able to pick up some extra points to benefit this ship specifically. What can we do to boost the carrier? We do have 1 point into our tactical readiness. That is going to translate to a 10% cooldown reduction on our tactical powers. Then we have points into our coordination protocols. This is a fairly sizable boost to hull and shield capacity for our hangar pets, which is going to increase their survivability. We have points into offensive coordination, which is a 20% accuracy and base damage boost for our hangar pets. And if I could buttons worth of crap today. And then the defensive coordination, which is 20% defense and damage resistance for our hangar pets. So this is going to allow our pets to be a lot stronger than they otherwise would be normally. That's the major changes that we have in the skill tree here. For specialization, we went with Miracle Worker Primary, Pilot Secondary, just to change it up a little bit from what we normally do. Then, coming into the traits department, on our personal space traits, we have the accurate space trait that's going to offset our penalty to thaw in terms of accuracy and similar firing modes. We have beam training for free beam damage. Then beam barrage, which is our R&D crafting trait. We always like to assume that you've leveled at least one of the crafting schools as you're bringing up the character. In this particular case, we've chosen beams. Then we have elusive for free defensive value, making the ship harder to hit. We have the nanite repair matrix, which will trigger a hull heal when you drop below 50%, which is very nice to have. Then we have the career-specific trait of Grace Under Fire. Now this is because the builder itself typically defaults to engineers. If you are not an engineering captain, but you would still like to use this trait, then definitely swap out your own career-specific trait in this case, and you should be just fine. Then we also have the Fleet Coordinator, which is free damage based on how many people you have in your team. In this case, it is going to be a minimum of 2% of a boost, upwards of 10% if you have a full team of 5. Then we have the Point Blank Shot, which increases energy weapon damage the closer you are to a target to a certain maximum. Also comes from the House Peg mission. And then, to kind of round this out a little bit, we have the Operative trait, which is free critical chance and severity and everything. Now, I didn't include the new traits from the mission yet, since they are technically not available at the moment, and they're not in the builder. Expect to see some of those in future tank builds, perhaps. Then, for our Starship traits, we have the Best Defense, also from House Peg. Your attack patterns grant you a hull healing buff along with their normal effects. Then we actually have the trait that comes with the ship itself, and this is going to dictate in part one of our powers that we'll take a look at for bridge officers in just a minute. Activating Beam Overload, Surgical Strikes, and Cannon Rapid Fire will provide an increase in damage to all nearby hangar pets, and the buff does not stack. And then this assumes a Federation character and whatnot. We have the Honored Dead trait. This is going for about 300k if you are a Federation character at the moment. If you are not a Federation character and everything, then this is going to be a very expensive trait to come by. A viable alternative to something like this would possibly be one of the other traits from the missions and everything, or even if you have to leave it blank, hopefully not. But anyways, if need be and everything, anybody wants to use the build, I'll try to provide a viable alternative to this in the notes. I can't remember which trait I was going to use right off the top of my head, but anyways, finally we have the Going the Extra Mile trait from our, Miracle Worker, Brain Fart. And now I remember the other trait I was going to use. So in place of the... It's been one of those weeks and one of those days, folks, if you can't tell. But in place of the Honored Dead, if you are not able to get a hold of that, then consider perhaps leveling the Strategist spec and picking up the Unconventional Tactics. Then for the Going the Extra Mile, it improves the effectiveness of your captain and bridge officer heals. If you heal someone while they are above 90% maximum hull, they additionally gain a boost to maximum hull cap for a short duration. So temporary HP in that case. Now for the Space Reputation traits, we have the Advanced Target Systems for free crit severity, Precision for free critical hit chance, Aux Power Offense for a damage and accuracy boost based on your Aux Power, and then finally the Chronocapacitor Array for free bridge officer cooldown reduction. For active rep powers, we have the Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity. This is a nice little AoE kick in the pants to the enemy that slows them down and deals a good chunk of damage to them. We have the Biomolecular Shield Generator, which is the little green ball you see people throw up and everything. And what's going to be going on here is it will regen your shields a little bit, as well as giving a damage reduction to the shields while you're in there. Then we also have our Quantum Singularity Manipulation. In this particular case, the Quantum Singularity Manipulation will give a plus 100 to all science stats for its duration, and will also give a temporary cloaking effect to the ship. And to get a little bit more bang for your buck out of this power and everything, pop a lot of your exotic abilities first and everything. Any boost that you may have, follow up with this power, crack off something like maybe a gravity well, and then also fire off your Anti-Time Entanglement Singularity, and you'll get a lot more mileage out of them that way. For our final rep power, we have the Deploy Sensor Interference platform. This is a nice little oh crap I'm gonna die type of thing, Whenever you throw this ability, it will spawn a little sensor platform that will taunt enemies to itself, and until either it is destroyed or its duration runs out, whatever happens first. Nice little get the heck out of dodge type of power. Then, finally, for our bridge officers. Now for this particular ship and everything, you have a Lieutenant Commander Universal seat, Commander Tactical, Lieutenant Tactical / Command, Lieutenant Commander Engineering / Command, and an Ensign Science. So for this particular ship, we'll start with the Commander Tactical. In this case, we have a Tactical Team 1, a Beam Overload 2, a Fall 3, and an Attack Pattern Beta 3 in this case. So our Beam Overload, in addition to being a nice little kick in the pants, is going to let us cheese our trait that we have from the ship to buff our hangar pets. Then in our Lieutenant Commander Engineering / Command, we have an Engineering Team 1. This is going to heal our hull a little bit, as well as purge certain debuffs, such as the Viral Matrix the Iconians love to throw out. Then we also have our Reverse Shield Polarity to recharge our shields in a pinch off of incoming damage. Then we have our Emergency to Weapons 3. This is going to give a nice little damage boost to our weapons while it is active, as well as boost our weapon power. Then for our Ensign Science, we also have our Hazard Emitters 1. This is a heal over time effect that will purge certain things like Borg Plasma Fires. Then for our Lieutenant Commander Universal seat, we made this into a Science seat. We have our Science Team 1 that's going to recharge our shields a little bit, as well as purge certain science debuffs, such as subnucleonic based effects. Then we have our Subspace Vortex and everything, which that's actually not supposed to be there.
Wait a minute, this is supposed to be a bare bones. That's quite an expensive trait for a bare bones build. Were you thinking DRB?
I know what I was doing. I was looking at my own. No, I was actually thinking about my own powers earlier and everything, and I actually meant to put a, because I kind of copied this off of the Jim Hadar build that I have right now, and I actually meant to put Transfer Shield there, but yeah, that was actually, so that's a mistake on my part.
I was gonna say,
admit that. I'll correct that in
destabilizing resonance beam
the build
in there,
and everything.
That would give you a nice little debuff, and
you actually could.
Debuff to everything around and do a damage. Do damage to your enemies
actually,
in place of this, and it's free.
There's actually a couple of things I was thinking here. Now, I'm assuming in this case, since it's a tank build, you want to go for the survival, but if you're to the point to where that's not an issue in this particular case, where you don't think you need the transfer shield, then like Kirby said, you could use the DRB. That is a free thing that you could have. Now for this particular thing, another alternative you might want to consider, since you'll have a pretty sizable chunk of Drain X, would be something like the Charged Particle Burst to further drain the shields. So if you think survival is going to be an issue, stick with the transfer shield strength. If you want to go for something a little bit more offensive focused, then I would say to consider the Charged Particle Burst or the DRB. Either one will do you well in this case. Then our final power that we have is our Gravity Well 1. This is going to suck everything together within range of the power and deal some exotic base damage. So yeah, rest assured folks, once this goes up, I will have the correct powers and everything in the notes. All that kind of jazz. I don't know why. Well, yeah, I do. And everything, it's, like I say, it's one of those days, folks.
I was going to say, the only thing I would probably do differently would I would put in Destabilizing Resonance Beam instead of the Vortex. I would actually trade out the Beam Overload 2, put in a second Fire at Will, and then put a Beam Overload 1 in place of the Hazard Emitters. That still allows you to cheese the, or not Hazard Emitters, the Overwhelm
Hazard Emitters is not a...
See, apparently I do it too.
Okay, which Which, coming to our final station, which, yeah, we have our overwhelm emitters. Now, what is good about this particular power? Again, this assumes defensive focus and everything, and that is, it will drain some of the enemy shields while also applying those shields to you as healing. So that is something you can do. As Kirby said, you could swap some of the powers around to pick up a second copy of Fall if you wanted, because we still want to have at least one copy of Overload so we can cheese that for our hanger pets and everything. That's one reason why she actually mentioned the combo that she did and everything. But we also want to make sure we're able to deal damage with the mothership as well.
The only way that I personally would combine Fire at Will and Overload in the same build like this is if it's for a trait.
Yeah. Which, yeah. Then, for our final power, we have the Rally Point Marker. This is a nice little power that command ships have access to. It poofs up a little octagon-looking area in space. It'll give a bit of hull healing while you're inside it. And it's not a bad thing overall. It's can be combined with a lot of good stuff. Now, as far as our overall cost and everything, for the Honored Dead trait, again, this is assuming a KDF, and I'll have an alternative in the notes for this once the show ends and whatnot. So you're looking at about 300k here. Then for the Crafted Omni, you were looking at about 1.5 million and everything. Our normal, like I say, our budget limit is 2 million EC, so you are going to be stretching that a good bit. But overall, you're getting some very nice stuff. Now, for this particular build, you're looking at a total of about 47,500 dilithium. So that's just a hair shy of 6 days, assuming one tune per refining dilithium per day. So, yeah, that's the ship that we have for this evening. But yeah, any
I got nothing to worry about. I just gotta make sure it's not fighting me.
Yeah. Like I said, I would trade out Overwhelm emitters for the beam overload and put in a second beam Fire at Will. But
definitely could. But anyways, folks, like I say, I will have the corrected version up whenever I actually put this up. But anyways, moving along to our bugs corner, the one big thing that we did mention in the patch notes, the thing about the new Link mission and whatnot. If you haven't heard about it by now, if you try to beam down to the new Link planet, you will actually fall through the map until you go splat and die. So there is no way around this and everything. It's not something like that, and this is something anybody can see if you go down there. They are aware of it. In fact, they were about 20 minutes quicker on the thing to post the blog than I was to get in my report. So they are aware of it and everything, and should have a fix pretty soon. It also does seem that, from what I could tell, some of the crashing errors people were reporting with this new episode seems to have been fixed. So that's pretty good. But, like I say, that's what I've got as far as bugs go and everything. Like I say, folks, you know, feel free to send them in and whatnot. I know I pick at these guys relentlessly about it, but that is part of what I signed up to do. The devs don't like bugs any more than you or I. They want to get them fixed. And the best way to get them fixed is to report them. But anyways, moving on to our next segment of the evening, we have the Teacher's Corner with Teacher
this
Kirby.
week,
And what have you got for us this week?
continuing the series of fleet holdings and the gear you can get from them, we're looking at the K-13 fleet holding, and we actually were talking about part of this earlier on TeamSpeak with a couple of the guys about how the duty officers that you need to craft the special items at the when you get to level 15 of each crafting school, those duty officers are available at K13, so you don't have to spend a fortune to get duty officers that let you craft those special items. You can get them there.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's just one of the things you can get at K13.
Indeed.
As Kreia would say, but wait, there's more! There's also some, let's see, bridge officer training manuals for the 23rd century abilities. There's consoles, of course, that have different things, but I go over everything in the videos, so check it out.
And also
Yes,
superior versions
that
of
too, I
certain
do
traits
mention
that
that
they
as
give you
well.
for free, but yeah, like I say, if you're curious about where to get some of this stuff, what all you actually can do at K13, this is actually one of the,
It is.
I would actually
it
say
really
one of the
is.
more robust holdings in some of its offerings.
It's got a little bit of
Useful stuff that
everything.
it gives.
I feel like because it has the trait stuff, it has ground and space weapons,
It really does.
different bridge officer abilities. It has the works basically. And it has an outfit slot, not outfit slot, a new outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's definitely not a holding to sneeze at and everything, but there's, like I say, there's a lot of stuff that we could probably go over for the next 2 or 3
Yeah,
hours
definitely.
at the bare minimum here. But definitely check out Teacher's video. We will have a link to that in the notes for you guys whenever the recording goes up. But moving on to our final segment of the evening, we have the RP
All right.
Corner
Well,
with Artie.
since
What have you got for us
Neela
this
and
week, dude?
Kribdis, I've seen a few different people in the RP community that's been keeping up with the story, at least with their fleet stories, saying that the Dominion presence seems to be somewhat concerning. Yeah, we kind of see them as allies, but like as Martok said in Scylla and Kribdis, the Dominion are on our side. A lot of people don't know what the Dominion's footing is, so I have a little write-up of my thoughts on it and what could possibly be a workout for the different Starfleet, Romulan, and Klingon groups that are out there, even all the other groups in between, what their feelings may be about it. Starting off, it will have the Dominion just showing up, even just for one fleet. That's still very concerning because last time they showed up with a bunch of ships, we lost DS9 and we're hanging out on Bajor for a couple of days. And had to even go to the Gamma Quadrant and go find more Dominion to come help out, and had to go break someone out of prison. So that was a whole shindig, but still, I mean, even before then, the Dominion War is still technically fresh compared. I mean, yeah, it was like a couple decades back, but compared to a lot of the worlds that were ransacked, completely destroyed, and all that, they rather not have the Dominion floating around their territory, even so close. You know, even if it's in and out about Zenkethi space and wherever the Hur'q are being concentrated. A lot of people may not want a Dominion battleship and a bunch of Jem'Hadar marching to the streets trying to keep everyone safe, air quotes. But on the other hand, a lot of people may actually be completely fine with the Dominion showing up because the Dominion has the ships, the troops, the resources. Hell, they could probably be like, yeah, and a show of good faith will give you all these different freighters full of raw material for you guys to build your fleets back up. I mean, we need you guys for when the Hur'q start coming in full force. Come on, we need you by the summer. So that's the other idea to look at it, because it's just with the more, I would say, military-minded characters out there, but that's not really the proper term. The more the people that are looking more of the alliance itself, like the Romulans, Klingons, all the other different groups that helped each other during the Iconian War, we're just like, yeah, we're we're for this. We're happy to have another ally. We're happy to have someone that's not wanting to kill us immediately when they see one of our ships fly by. So it's not, a total bad thing. But as I said, on the political scale, a lot of people, like even civilians, would be like, yeah, Jem'Hadar are not the kindest people to run into, because you'll be like, oh, sorry, I bumped into you, and they'll be like, haha, you bumped into me. Your head is now in the palm of my hand. Crushed? Who knows? It's the weirdest thing. There are also some RP stuff that I have seen that it's been a lot of drawing a line in the sand, basically. Because you have some people going, oh, you got Odo, a trusted member of the Dominion leadership, because we all knew him when during the Dominion War. Yeah, he's shown back up in the Alpha Quadrant. He commanding a Dominion fleet. He's on our side, we're sure. He helped us fight the Hur'q over Bajor. But we don't know the end game, really. What we're guessing is that maybe this is just the starting out, but who knows? Maybe the Dominion actually is coming up with, wanting to set up embassies on major allied planets like Earth, Bajor, and stuff like that, and that would cause another political shakeup because, like I said before, civilians may not want to see the Dominion just walking through their streets because they may feel like it's another Dominion war occupation. But then again, who knows? We're still guessing we're still guessing on what we may see because we haven't seen much of the Dominion since that episode. So yeah.
Definitely sounds like a good little precursor to lead into the new expansion.
It does.
Yeah, we will have this stuff in the notes for you guys and everything once this goes up. But anyways, that's what we have for you all this evening and whatnot. If you guys have enjoyed the show and everything, we're a little should I say rusty, whatever the word terminology you want to use. After taking a week off and everything, but yeah, good point.
We're forced to by
but
internet services.
Always aliens.
Not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Yeah.
But anyways, that concludes our show for this evening, folks. Thanks for joining us this week. A good shout out to our friends over at the Temporal Armada. Very cool bunch of people and whatnot. Be sure to check out their programs and everything. Very talented bunch of folks. Very cool people. Everything. Also, another shout out to our good friends over at the Kurtang Pirate Radio. Very good music and everything playing there all the time. The party is there. But also, if you've got any bugs or anything, whatnot, feel free to submit those. Feel free to get it to one of these screwballs. They'll get it to me, and I'll pass it along to the devs. If you've got my information in game, feel free to just drop me a message in there. Say, hey, this is what's going on. If you've got screenshot and video, that's even better, so that can help them isolate a fix even quicker and everything. If you've got a request for a budget build, feel free to let us know. Say, hey, this is what I'm after. This is the ship that I've got. This is the budget level I'm working with. Maybe it's a bare bones. Maybe it's more of a mid-range type of build. Maybe it's a high-end build that you're looking to go for even. Whatnot. Let us know what you're looking to do. Say, hey, I've got this budget. I've got this ship. I want to be a space wizard, or I want to be just a pew-pew disco ball, or I want to be a tank that never dies. Whatever it is, we'll be sure to help you out in that aspect. If you think your gear is in order, but maybe if you could just improve your piloting just that one little bit, maybe if you could just get to a transformer a little quicker, or kill the spheres a little quicker from positioning and whatnot, feel free to get a brief little video clip of your piloting to us through our website and everything, and we'll be sure to help you out in that area. If you have ideas for the Teacher's Corner, maybe there's a certain aspect of the game you don't really get, or you'd like to have explained a little better, feel free to submit requests,
Yes, I do.
because she does indeed take them. And she may just do a request over, or do a video over your request. Finally, if you have anything in the RP Corner you'd like to hear Artie talk about, maybe how you would I give up tonight. Or RP a certain event, maybe some of the new stuff with the expansion, similar to what he's done, then feel free to submit that to him. He does take requests also. But anyways, that's what we have for this evening, folks, and despite stumbling over ourselves quite a bit more than what we're willing to admit, but anyways, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the show for this evening, but for now, this is the pilot review show, and we are warping on out of here.